On our planet, there are such vast and extreme territories that over the centuries, unique traditions and customs have developed there, often seeming incredible to residents of more temperate climates. Among these traditions are the communal sharing of spouses with their partners, as well as survival in conditions where temperatures drop below 50 degrees Celsius, or the prevalence of unmarried women, which becomes commonplace in these regions. All of this may seem astonishing when you think about it, raising questions about how people cope with such conditions, adapt, and preserve their traditions across many generations. What would you think if you learned that in one of these countries, mothers are allowed to train their newborns to sleep outdoors, even in freezing temperatures, to strengthen their immune systems from an early age? Imagine a place where healthcare is expressed through extreme methods and harsh climate conditions are regarded as normal. This is Russia, a country whose vastness, natural features, and cultural traditions are difficult to define and describe with just one or several words. Perhaps, when you hear the name Russia, you associate it with harsh winters, hot vodka, or President Putin. But, as you will soon discover, this country is far more astonishing and multifaceted than it appears at first glance. Russia is not only about cold and severity, but also about a wealth of cultural traditions, incredible natural phenomena, and unique historical facts that captivate the imagination. Prepare for a journey through the largest country in the world, and you will uncover remarkable phenomena, such as settlements with the lowest temperatures, the longest railway lines, the strictest and harshest prisons on the planet, and the highest number of single women living in remote corners of the country. You will also find it hard to believe some astonishing facts, such as the use of ambulances as taxis for wealthy citizens wishing to avoid traffic jams and the hustle of big cities. Additionally, you will learn that to avoid traffic congestion, a president, a former KGB officer, or someone living in seclusion from civilization might go decades without setting foot on urban streets or using public transportation. Don't miss our new story to see Russia from an unexpected perspective, to explore its most remote, wild, and astonishing corners, and to learn about its unique traditions and features. To start, it will be helpful to briefly review a geographical map and the modern history of Russia to better understand why regions like Siberia, with its famous Gulag network, or settlements such as Amakon, recognized as the coldest place on Earth, exist and continue to develop. Part 2 of 17. It is equally fascinating to learn about regions such as Chukotka, inhabited by Eskimos who honor ancient traditions, including unusual customs like dividing women into guests and hosts, which highlights their deep cultural characteristics. Russia is the largest country in the world, spanning 2 continents, Europe and Asia, covering an area of about 17 million square kilometers. Its borders touch 16 countries, including Finland, China, and North Korea, demonstrating its vast and strategically important territory. This geographical position provides Russia with a unique diversity of climate zones, from Arctic regions where polar cold rages to subtropical areas in the southern outskirts. As a result, temperature fluctuations throughout the year reach incredible extremes, from 70 degrees below zero to 45 degrees above zero. A particularly noteworthy place is the settlement of Oymyakon, which rightly bears the title of the coldest inhabited place on Earth. Temperatures there have been recorded dropping below 70 degrees Celsius, making it one of the most extreme places on the planet for human habitation. Under such conditions, and due to the harsh climate, a unique practice has developed in Russia that may seem unusual to foreigners. Many parents, caring for their children's health, carefully wrap them in warm clothing and gently place them in strollers, leaving them outside shops or various trading points for a while they do their shopping or household chores. This approach is driven not only by practical considerations, but also by a deeply rooted belief that controlled exposure to low winter temperatures helps strengthen the child's immune system. Numerous studies confirm that regular exposure to cold, fresh air, with proper protection, helps children become more resistant to various illnesses and also hardens their bodies, preparing them for the severe climatic conditions that Russia is known for. This custom reflects a special attitude towards winter and frost, turning cold days into an opportunity to strengthen oneself and prepare for future challenges. Moving on to climatic diversity, it is impossible not to be struck by how astonishing and multifaceted it is in Russia. This vast country, stretching across Eastern Europe and Asia, is distinguished not only by its history and culture, but also by its unique natural landscapes. In some regions, such as Siberia, there lies an endless, frozen tundra covered with an icy crust and snow, creating a sense of pristine and harsh beauty. In other regions, dense taiga, with ancient trees that seem to guard the secrets of bygone eras, or fertile agricultural lands that nourish numerous villages and cities. Despite these natural contrasts, the country's population is about 146 million people, making Russia one of the most populous countries in the world. However, despite such a significant number, the population density remains relatively low, only 8 people per square kilometer, which is explained by the fact that most of the population is concentrated in the western regions, especially in the European part of the country, where major cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg are located. Meanwhile, vast territories of Siberia, the Far East, and other remote areas remain sparsely populated, flat, and more difficult to access. Another, perhaps most astonishing fact that attracts attention and piques interest in many is Russia's reputation as a country with one of the most beautiful and attractive female populations in the world. In this regard, Russia holds a special place, as its women are renowned not only for their natural beauty, but also for their elegance, grooming, and charisma. Numerous international beauty contests, where Russian representatives have repeatedly become winners, confirm this. Russian women regularly showcase their attractiveness and inner strength to the world. It is also worth noting that Russia is considered a country with one of the largest numbers of unmarried women on the planet. According to various statistical sources, the number of women in Russia exceeds that of men by approximately 11 million. The population census revealed that about 73 million men and around 84 million women live in the country, indicating a significant gender imbalance with women being much more numerous. This imbalance prompts many women to consider the possibility of emigrating abroad in search of more favorable conditions for family happiness and personal life. Another characteristic of Russian women is their love for neatness, aesthetics, and elegance. They strive to look beautiful and well-groomed in any situation, whether they are going to the store for bread or taking out the trash. For them, it is important to look good and emphasize their individuality, as this is seen as a reflection of inner beauty and dignity. An essential part of Russian female etiquette is the belief that appearance is not only a way to attract the attention of others, but also a reflection of inner harmony and self-respect. Therefore, for many Russian women, it is important to always be elegant, follow fashion trends, and look presentable, as this helps them feel confident and worthy. Summarizing all of the above, a natural question arises. Would you like to get acquainted with Russia, a country with an incredibly vast territory and a rich historical heritage? Since ancient times, Russia has held an important place in the global community as one of the most significant and influential powers. During the Tsarist era, prior to the 1917 revolution, Russia was a powerful and expansive empire, stretching from the borders of Eastern Europe to the shores of the Pacific Ocean, uniting numerous peoples and cultures under its rule. This state achieved remarkable heights in political, economic, and military spheres, strengthening its position on the world stage. However, the outbreak of World War I, followed by the subsequent civil war that engulfed the country after revolutionary events, marked a period of profound upheaval and instability, ultimately transforming Russia's face. As a result of these turbulent events, the country found itself on the verge of radical changes, culminating in the creation of a new state, the Soviet Union, officially established in 1922. Throughout the 20th century, as part of this union, Russia was at the center of global conflicts and political confrontations that shaped the course of world history. In particular, the Soviet people experienced World War II, which began in 1940, as a severe ordeal, losing millions of their citizens in battles and military operations. The Soviet Union suffered enormous human losses, including many men sent to the front and killed there. These tragic events left a deep imprint on society, significantly affecting the country's demographic situation. Due to extensive losses and long years of war, a demographic imbalance developed. There are significantly more women than men, a situation still felt today in social life and population numbers. In the late 1980s, as the dissolution of the Soviet Union became inevitable, a new era began for Russia, filled with radical changes. Large-scale political, economic, and social transformations took place within the country, which continue to influence its modern development. Today, Russia remains a nation with a rich and complex historical legacy that largely shapes its current reality. The country's image is determined not only by its natural resources and size, but also by its role in global politics, making it an important player on the world stage. Despite its relatively low population density, Russia demonstrates its strength and influence through its ability to project military power and active participation in international organizations, confirming its significance in global politics. Additionally, the wealth of cultural heritage, shaped by numerous ethnic groups and traditions, gives Russia a unique character and appeal. That is why Russia is not only the name of President Vladimir Putin or the current political events and conflicts taking place within its territory, but also a whole reality that makes this country one of the most beautiful and mysterious in the world. When talking about Putin, it is impossible not to mention that his career began as an officer of Soviet intelligence, a service similar in function to the American CIA. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin started working in the security agencies in 1975, still as a young officer. During those years, he primarily engaged in counterintelligence activities, and later was assigned to Dresden, a city located in what was then East Germany. During his time in Germany, Putin conducted intelligence operations that included gathering information about the West and preventing possible defections by agents. This experience taught him crucial skills: attentiveness, strategic thinking, and loyalty to the structures of power, qualities that later played a key role in shaping his political style and approach to governing the country as president. After the fall of the Berlin Wall and the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Vladimir Putin returned to Russia and almost simultaneously left the KGB in 1991, shortly before the agency was officially abolished. Afterward, he began engaging in political activities in St. Petersburg, working for the text cuts off here. When Boris Nikolaevich Yeltsin decided to leave his post and resign, this happened on December 25, 1999. On that day, the last day of the outgoing century, his powers were transferred to the acting head of state, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Just a few months later, in March of the following year, he managed to win the presidential election, thus beginning his long and multi-year journey at the helm of the country, a path that continues to this day. When discussing Putin's power and modern Russia as a whole, it is impossible not to pay attention to the most important institutional point, the center of the country's political and religious authority, famously known as the Kremlin. Many believe that the word Kremlin is often used as a synonym for the Russian parliament or government, but this is not entirely accurate. Historically, the Kremlin is a fortified city or fortress that served as a defensive and administrative center, and in Russia, there are about 20 such fortresses. The most famous and recognizable is the extensive and impressive complex in the very heart of Moscow, which is one of Russia's symbols. This Kremlin was originally built as a fortress in the 10th century, during the medieval period, and for centuries has been the center of the country's political, religious, and cultural life. Inside its ancient walls are numerous palaces, cathedrals, and government institutions, including the official residence of the President of the Russian Federation. The Kremlin is not only a political center, but also a significant cultural and historical monument. Its museums house priceless treasures, the crowns of Russian czars, unique works of art, legendary relics that tell the story of the country's rich history and culture. The majestic architecture of the complex and its centuries-old history make it a place of power, attracting tourists from around the world and serving as a symbol of Russian statehood. In front of the Kremlin stretches Red Square, another iconic location in Moscow, the capital of Russia. This square, like a living witness to many important events in Russian history, has served as a venue for military parades during the Soviet era, as well as a site for large-scale political demonstrations and ceremonial events today. Red Square is a unique space where history, politics, and culture intersect, helping to better understand the essence of Russian national identity. Moscow is the largest and most populous city in Russia, with a population exceeding 12 million people. This metropolis is not only the political and administrative center, but also a vital economic and cultural hub of the country. Its influence is felt throughout Russia. The city of Moscow is a vibrant blend of ancient traditions and modern trends. On its streets, one can see ancient monuments coexisting with ultra-modern skyscrapers and business centers. In addition to the Kremlin and Red Square, Moscow is home to a vast number of theaters, museums, parks, and cultural centers, creating a unique atmosphere of urban diversity and richness. It is worth noting that, according to some statistical data, Moscow ranks second in the world in the number of millionaires per capita after New York. This astonishing fact gives rise to many intriguing stories and phenomena related to wealth and luxury. For example, among the wealthy Muscovites, it has become popular to rent ambulances to quickly navigate through traffic jams and avoid long delays. This may seem incredible, but it exemplifies the city's and its wealthy residents' particular way of life, where comfort and speed often take precedence over everything else. Overall, it can be said that Russia is one of the most amazing and diverse countries on the planet, with a rich history, vibrant traditions, and unique cultural features that make it truly special for living and traveling. Moscow, the capital of Russia, is renowned not only for its history and cultural heritage, but also for its distinctive architecture, which largely shapes its appearance. Among its architectural landmarks, the so-called Stalinist skyscrapers hold a special place. 7 magnificent buildings known as the Seven Sisters. These monumental structures, with their impressive silhouettes, dominate the city's skyline, serving as symbols of the Soviet era, erected in honor of the strength and progress of the country. Their majestic facades and austere style create a unique image that cannot be mistaken for anything else. In addition to these famous skyscrapers, Moscow boasts one of the most beautiful metro systems in the world. It is not just a transportation network, but a true work of architectural art, where each station is a separate underground museum. Decorations made of marble, mosaics, sculptures, and luxurious chandeliers make the Moscow Metro unique in its aesthetics and historical significance. This rich decor was created during the Soviet era and was conceived as a symbol of the people's wealth and cultural identity. Currently, about 44 metro stations are designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, confirming their exceptional value to global culture. Every day, the Moscow Metro transports over 10 million passengers, making it one of the busiest and most efficient in the world. Since its opening in 1935, the network has continuously expanded, reaching a length of over 340 kilometers and comprising more than 200 stations. This makes the Moscow Metro the 5th longest in the world, highlighting its importance for the transportation infrastructure of the capital and the country as a whole. During World War II, metro stations served as reliable bomb shelters for city residents, and some were specially designed with protection against nuclear strikes, emphasizing their strategic importance and the engineering skill of Soviet designers. Regarding railways and trains, Russia holds a special place in the global transportation system thanks to the Trans-Siberian Railway, the longest railway line on the planet. This grand route stretches for 289 kilometers, connecting Moscow with the Pacific port city of Vladivostok. Its length made it an undeniable record holder, as it crosses 8 time zones, 16 major rivers, including the Volga and Amur, and traverses diverse natural landscapes, from European plains and Ural Mountains to Siberian steppes and forests. Traveling along the Trans-Siberian takes approximately 7 days without breaks, offering passengers a unique opportunity to enjoy spectacular views. The journey reveals panoramas of velvety forests, endless steppes, and crystal-clear lakes, including Lake Baikal, the deepest in the world. This ancient and remarkable body of water, surrounded by legends and unique nature, is a true gem of Siberia. It is here, in the region where the Trans-Siberian route ends, that Lake Baikal is located, a natural wonder attracting travelers from around the world with its crystalline transparency, depth, and rich flora and fauna. Siberia is a region rightly considered one of the most extreme and challenging places to live on the entire planet. This is a land where the climate is exceptionally harsh. Winters here can be the coldest in the world, with temperatures dropping to record lows. In this region, some of the most resilient and hardened people live, known as the inhabitants of Siberian frosts. They are accustomed to severe conditions, facing them with courage and patience, and their culture is rich with secrets and traditions rooted deep in antiquity. Despite the extreme climate and remoteness, Siberia remains inhabited and populated, full of mysteries and unique natural treasures. This area is renowned for its vast natural resources. Many years ago, a strategic decision was made that would later have a profound impact on the fate of this region. In the harsh and lifeless part of Siberia, a large-scale prison was built in remote and almost inaccessible locations to hide it from prying eyes and make escape difficult for inmates. Many wonder, how was it possible to create such a habitable place capable of housing and holding thousands of unfortunate people in such a distant and hostile environment? The answer to this question lies in the distant past, during a time when the Russian regime decided to turn this region into a symbol of intimidation and suffering. At the center of attention is the prison known as Gulag, which became a synonym for brutality and inhospitability. When discussing the details of the Gulag system, especially the most deadly and isolated among them, it is important to understand that the word Gulag is an acronym for the Main Directorate of Corrective Labor Camps. It was during the Soviet era that Siberia became an embodiment of suffering and repression, transforming into a place where human life was considered of little value. The creation of this camp was driven not only by political motives, but also by the need to exploit the region's rich natural resources, including oil, metals, timber, and other valuable materials. Gulag prisoners were involved in constructing roads, railways, and various infrastructure projects under conditions that could only be described as inhumane. However, beyond its official purpose, the Gulag became a symbol of horror and despair, a place where human life was often undervalued, and death was a frequent occurrence that accompanied everyday life. Over the decades, this system has given rise to numerous legends and mysteries shrouded in darkness and fear. Recently, it has gained renewed notoriety due to reports of the death of one of its most famous inmates, Russian opposition lawyer and politician Alexei Anatolyevich Navalny. In addition to this tragic news, there are rumors that Siberian forests are filled with numerous mass graves, where the remains of thousands of forgotten and long-forgotten people lie buried. People also speak of ghosts wandering the abandoned campgrounds, as if seeking justice for those who were unjustly condemned and sent here to die. These legends and tales feed the aura of mystery surrounding the Gulag, reminding us of the endless cruelty of human nature and the resilience of the spirit capable of surviving even in the most inhumane conditions. A special place in the description of this region is occupied by Siberia's extreme climate, one of the harshest and most challenging in the world. Here, long, ominous winters are replaced by short but very intense summers, creating a vast temperature fluctuation throughout the year. One of the most vivid manifestations of this extreme climate is the village of Oymyakon, considered one of the coldest inhabited places on the planet. Temperatures there drop to incredible levels, testing human endurance and patience. This settlement is also known as the Pole of Cold, because record lows, up to 72 degrees below 0 Celsius, have been registered in the vicinity of Oymyakon. These temperatures make it a symbol of the merciless power of nature that rules these lands. Despite such harshness, life has managed to take root and develop in this icy, lifeless landscape. Local residents and settlers have created unique survival methods, adapting to the extreme conditions. The warmth of their communities and traditional skills have enabled people to withstand the cold, becoming part of this vast, frozen world. In these conditions, humans learn to cherish every moment of warmth, every spark of life that helps overcome the impenetrable cold and solitude. Thus, despite its brutality, this land has become a place where life persists. Life in Siberia is a true test for the people inhabiting these harsh and often extreme climatic conditions. The constant need to adapt to the cold, weather changes, and everyday hardships demands exceptional resilience, patience, and resourcefulness from the region's inhabitants. Consider this. To survive in these conditions, one must not only possess strong willpower, but also continuously seek new ways to adapt, as natural conditions change rapidly here and resources are often limited. Such resilience has become an integral part of Siberians' lives, shaping their character, habits, and mindset. Interestingly, when discussing Siberia and its features, one cannot limit oneself to merely mentioning the difficult working conditions in the Gulag and the severe trials endured by prisoners there. This region, by its very nature, is not just a territory where tragic events of the past occurred. It is itself a vast, sprawling expanse of land that, in essence, is not a separate country, but part of a larger region stretching across much of northern Asia. Mostly, this region lies within the borders of Russia, and its size is so vast that it is hard to imagine. Speaking of scale, it is worth noting that Siberia accounts for approximately 77% of Russia's total area, exceeding 30 million square kilometers. To better understand its magnitude, imagine that this territory could accommodate several South American countries, such as Brazil, Argentina, and Peru, all at once, with still plenty of free space remaining. This illustrates just how enormous this region is, as well as how sparsely populated it is. Despite its scale, the population density in Siberia is very low, only 3 people per square kilometer. There is certainly a mystery here. Few dare to venture into and settle in these endless expanses, as conditions there are very harsh, and life is a constant challenge to nature. Believe it or not, it is precisely in these wild and secluded places that people have lived who earned special recognition for their ability to survive in the most extreme conditions. For example, one woman stands out among them, considered the most reclusive person on the planet. Her name is Agafia Lykova, and she has lived in isolation for more than 84 years, almost her entire life in the mountains of Siberia, entirely alone, far from human settlements and modern technology. Her home is a simple mountain hut, surrounded by snowy plains and forests, where she lives without electricity, without transportation, relying entirely on her skills and natural resources. Agafia grows potatoes and vegetables, which she harvests and stores herself. She has a fishing net to catch food from rivers and lakes, and a goat she milks daily. All of this constitutes her only supply of provisions and means of subsistence. In 1936, during Stalin's repressions, her family fled from their native land, fearing persecution for their religious beliefs. Since then, she and her relatives have lived in complete isolation, avoiding contact with the outside world, making their lives virtually inaccessible to outsiders. Over the years, Agafia has given birth to 4 children, and throughout this time, she has remained deeply self-sufficient, living as if time had stopped. The isolation was so complete that, for example, Agafia could have lived through an entire world war without even knowing about its beginning or outcome, as news simply did not reach her. Her first contact with the outside world occurred only in 1988, when a group of Soviet geologists accidentally stumbled upon her hut and told her that Stalin had died. While her close relatives' 3 brothers died back in 1981, and her father passed away in 1998, Agafia continued to live alone. completely detached from the outside world. This magnificent lake holds a special place in the global hydrological system, being the largest freshwater reservoir on the planet, containing approximately 1/6 of all the fresh water on Earth. Its scale and importance are difficult to overestimate. It is not just a large body of water, but a unique, natural object that plays a crucial role in providing water resources for billions of people. In addition, this lake is renowned for its exceptional depth, reaching over 1,600 meters, making it the deepest freshwater reservoir in the world. Imagine, its depth exceeds the height of more than 2 skyscrapers, such as the famous Burj Khalifa, which stands over 820 meters tall. If you stacked 2 of these buildings, one on top of the other, it would form a very tall tower. Such depth highlights the uniqueness of this natural feature and its geological complexity, as well as creating favorable conditions for the diverse ecosystems that exist within its depths. Another truly unique place located in the heart of Siberia is the Ural Mountains. These mountains are significant not only as a natural phenomenon dividing Europe and Asia, but also as a symbol of the region's rich history and culture. They form a majestic mountain range with sharp, jagged peaks that seem carved from stone, as well as deep, mysterious valleys stretching into endless forests. The Urals are a real attraction for tourists, climbers, and explorers, eager to touch a nature full of mysteries and beauty. This region is renowned not only for its landscapes, but also for its deep-rooted history. Ancient settlements, traditions, and crafts have been preserved here, passed down from generation to generation, creating an atmosphere that is a unique blend of past and present. Beyond Lake Baikal and the Ural Mountains, Siberia boasts another natural masterpiece, the Endless Forest Zone, often called the Infinite Forest. This is the taiga, the largest forest mass in the world, stretching across vast expanses of Siberia and covering nearly 60% of the country's territory. This forest is a living organism in itself, containing incredible biological diversity, with coniferous trees such as pines, spruces, and firs growing in endless rows, creating the impression that you are in an unchanging realm of nature. The taiga is a unique ecosystem known as a boreal forest zone. Its extent exceeds 10 million square kilometers, making it one of the largest forested areas on the planet. In this forest, a vast number of wild animals inhabit, including bears, lynxes, moose, wild boars, and many other species, each playing an important role in maintaining the natural balance. The changing appearance of the taiga with the seasons is a true symphony of colors. In summer, the trees are covered with lush greenery, creating picturesque scenes, while in winter, the forest is cloaked in a sparkling layer of snow and ice, transforming it into a fairy tale winter wonderland. Another little-known but incredibly interesting and astonishing place in Siberia is the city of Norilsk. Located beyond the Arctic Circle, this city holds a special place among the northernmost settlements, with a population of over 100,000 people. It is considered one of the most polluted cities in the world, primarily due to intensive industrial activity, especially mining and metallurgical industries that extract nickel, copper, and palladium. Despite their importance to the regional and national economy, these industries cause alarming levels of air pollution, particularly sulfur dioxide and other harmful substances. This environmental situation has led to significant damage to the natural surroundings around Norilsk, and the health of local residents is under threat. It may seem surprising that in such a remote and harsh place, there exists a city that many consider the most polluted in the world. However, numerous studies and observations confirm this. Speaking of culture and traditions, it is very important and interesting to learn about one of the most unusual and mysterious places on our planet, the customs, way of life, and people who live there. This refers to the Russian region known as Chukotka, which is undoubtedly considered perhaps the coldest and most remote inhabited area on Earth. This land is filled with astonishing and sometimes astonishingly extreme features, among which the habits and customs of its indigenous inhabitants, the Eskimos, stand out. Their traditions and way of life largely reflect the unpredictability and harshness of the surrounding nature. For example, these peoples have a custom of maintaining intimate relations without removing their clothing, which seems incredible to those of us living in milder climates. Moreover, it is not uncommon for men to share their wives with several tribe members or even visitors, which serves not only as a display of trust and hospitality, but also as a survival tactic in the face of the brutal and merciless environment. In these regions, where winter temperatures can drop below 50 degrees Celsius and icy winds penetrate every crack and crevice, couples often prefer to engage in sex without removing their clothes during the harshest months to avoid additional risks of hypothermia. As for the burial of the deceased, the situation here is complex and unique. Due to permafrost that extends several meters underground, burying the dead becomes practically impossible without the use of heavy machinery. In such conditions, the ground remains so hard and unyielding that digging a traditional grave is nearly impossible, and in most areas it is altogether unfeasible. Therefore, the local population, in order to honor the memory of the departed and provide them with a dignified burial, has developed unusual and original methods of handling bodies. One of these is the construction of above-ground crypts and elevated structures, so-called mausoleums, in which bodies are placed in coffins, protected from direct contact with the permafrost. These structures are designed to withstand extreme weather conditions, preserving the remains intact and honoring the memory of ancestors. In other cases, during the winter months, when the ground becomes so hard that digging a grave is impossible, residents try to keep the bodies in special rooms, garages, basements, or separate storage facilities until summer, when temperatures rise and the ground softens. At that point, it becomes possible to transfer the bodies to more traditional cemeteries located in areas where the permafrost layer is much thinner or absent altogether. Thus, despite its small population, Chukotka is a vast region covering over 700,000 square kilometers, exceeding the area of countries like Spain or France. However, in this harsh and sparsely populated land, only about 50,000 people live, most of whom are representatives of Eskimo peoples. The indigenous inhabitants maintain close ties with other Eskimo groups, residing in regions such as Alaska and Greenland, and continue to adhere to unique traditions. Among these are special customs, such as offering their women to visitors, which in their cultural tradition symbolizes hospitality and trust, as well as strengthening bonds within the community. Overall, Chukotka's culture is an astonishing blend of ancient customs and harsh living conditions, where each day is a struggle for survival, and every traditional act is a sign of deep respect for nature and ancestors. The population of Chukotka is a complex and vibrant mosaic of various ethnic groups. Among them, the indigenous peoples stand out, having learned to survive and thrive in some of the most severe and extreme conditions on the planet. In this region, where nature demonstrates its unpredictability and brutality, the majority of the population consists of the Chukchi, a small ethnic group numbering around 15,000 people. Despite the geographical isolation, freezing temperatures reaching extremely low levels, and the limited influence of modern civilization creating an atmosphere of seclusion and inaccessibility, the inhabitants of Chukotka are renowned for their unique hospitality and ability to warmly welcome guests. In these conditions, where nature almost leaves no room for error, their reception is characterized by particular warmth and sincerity, making them stand out among the peoples of the world. One of the most remarkable traits of the Chukchi ethnic identity is their openness to new faces, tourists, travelers, or simply visitors who find themselves in these lands. Despite the harsh environment and isolation, the Chukchi excel at creating an atmosphere of friendliness and goodwill, offering their guests abundant food and drinks, and sometimes overnight accommodation in traditional dwellings known as yurts. These structures, specifically designed to protect against the severe cold, serve not only as shelters but also as symbols of hospitality, blending the traditions and wisdom of the people. In these homes, guests often feel at home, and their reception is accompanied by warm words, care, and respect. This approach to hospitality reflects not only their kindness but also a deep willingness to share their lives, culture, and customs. which is especially significant in conditions where every act of hospitality takes on special meaning. Life in this northern part of the world is characterized by remarkable flexibility regarding marriage and interpersonal relationships, which is unsurprising given that interaction with people from other nations and cultures has become an integral part of life here. Chukchi women, well-versed in their traditions and cultural practices, demonstrate an astonishing degree of independence and openness to new experiences. Often possessing deep knowledge of their customs, they show the ability to be self-reliant and proactive, which many find unusual within the framework of conventional stereotypes about traditional societies. These women, following their customs, often display such strong hospitality that they are willing to share their personal space, even with strangers, tourists, or guests, always with the consent of their husbands. This practice, which is more symbolic and hospitable rather than intimate, is deeply rooted in the traditions of the peoples of Chukotka and has persisted for centuries. For many outside this region, such a tradition may seem strange or even shocking. However, within the communities themselves, it holds profound meaning. For many years, scientists and anthropologists have studied these unique traditions, attempting to understand their significance. Analyzing practices similar to those of the Chukchi, researchers have found that such customs are widespread among Inuit peoples living in Alaska, Greenland, and Canada. Studies have shown that in conditions of extreme remoteness and harsh climate, these traditions serve not only to strengthen the community, but also to ensure its survival. They helped ensure women's reproductive health, which was an important factor for the settlement of sparsely populated areas. These customs contributed to increasing the population size and also provided a constant replenishment of the workforce necessary for hunting, resource gathering, and performing other collective tasks vital for the survival of such tribal societies. That is why, even in the modern era, in the 21st century, these practices, some of which may seem strange or even crazy to outsiders, continue to persist and serve their purpose in the lives of northern peoples. As can be seen, harsh living conditions, extreme climate, and isolation have shaped unique cultural features, among which the practice related to heat preservation in environments where even brief exposure to cold air can be dangerous is particularly important and relevant. In such situations, proper clothing becomes especially significant. It must provide reliable protection while allowing for comfort and mobility. Traditional clothing, designed specifically for such conditions, often includes strategically placed holes and ventilation openings, which serve an important function. They allow the body to maintain intimate contact with the protective layer, while enabling air circulation necessary to prevent hypothermia. This approach helps retain heat without creating a feeling of tightness or discomfort, which is especially crucial during prolonged exposure to cold environments. Moving on to more picturesque and unique corners of our vast country, one cannot help but mention the Kamchatka Peninsula, one of the most amazing and beautiful places located in the Russian Far East. This region is considered a true natural paradise, filled with contrasts that captivate the imagination. Kamchatka is renowned for its unparalleled natural beauty, combining everything from powerful active volcanoes and bubbling geysers to rugged fjords and tranquil, warm springs. This land is rich in astonishing natural wonders, attracting adventurers and nature lovers from around the world who seek to experience a unique blend of wild beauty and serene harmony. Kamchatka hosts numerous active volcanoes, some of which are covered with snow for most of the year, creating a distinctive landscape that draws explorers and travelers alike. The volcanic peaks rising above the surrounding terrain serve not only as natural monuments, but also as opportunities for hiking, climbing, and exploration. Geysers eject jets of hot water and steam from the Earth's depths, adding a surreal touch to the landscape and creating the sensation of being in another world, a world where nature demonstrates its power and magic simultaneously. And hot springs scattered across the entire peninsula offer a warm and relaxing refuge after a busy day spent exploring this rugged and remote terrain. In addition to its geographical uniqueness, Kamchatka is a place where a rich cultural heritage is preserved. An especially important aspect is the presence of a Buddhist community, which, despite its small size, plays a significant role in the spiritual life of the region. This community, mainly composed of descendants of migrants from Mongolia and Tibet, has established temples and monasteries here that serve as centers of spirituality and prayer. These sacred sites not only fulfill religious functions, but also act as oases of tranquility and harmony for local residents and travelers seeking spiritual solace amid the wild nature of this incredible land. Interestingly, despite the widespread perception of Russia as a vodka country, the most popular beverage among its people remains tea. This drink has deep historical roots dating back to the 15th century, when it was first introduced from China and gradually began to permeate Russian culture. Over the years, tea has become an integral part of everyday life for Russians. They drink it not only to quench their thirst, but also as an important element of social activity. Families, friends, and neighbors gather over a cup of tea to share news, discuss matters, or simply enjoy good company. In Russia, tea is a symbol of hospitality and tradition. Its consumption unites people and helps create an atmosphere of comfort and tranquility. Few people know that one of the most famous video games in history, Tetris, was created in Russia in the distant year of 1984. It was developed by a talented engineer and programmer named Alexei Pajitnov, who was working at one of Moscow's institutes at the time. This game became a true phenomenon, capturing the hearts of millions of people. Initially, the rights to create and distribute Tetris were held by a Soviet company called ERG, which was established specifically to control the dissemination of Russian content abroad. This organization was responsible for licensing and regulating the game's distribution in foreign countries, which was a very important task given the political and cultural situation of the time. However, for many years, numerous disputes and conflicts arose around this popular and simple yet highly addictive puzzle game concerning its rights to use and distribute it. Major companies such as Atari, Sega, and Nintendo were involved, each claiming ownership and fighting for recognition of authorship. These prolonged legal battles and court cases dragged on for many years, creating a complex and tangled history surrounding the legitimacy of the rights to Tetris. Ultimately, after all these conflicts, the game's main creator, Alexei Pajitnov, moved to the United States of America, where he continued his professional career in video game development. There, he had the opportunity to work at one of the largest technology companies, Microsoft Corporation, which provided him with a platform to realize his ideas and talents. Only in 1996, after the dissolution of the Soviet company LO, was Pajitnov able to officially declare his authorship and recognition as the true creator of Tetris. At that moment, he finally received the deserved recognition and financial reward for his work, which amounted to multi-million-dollar earnings. And although many years have passed since then, Tetris remains one of the most beloved and recognizable video games in the world, continuing to delight millions of people of all ages. As can be seen, the acquaintance with Russia, its rich history and culture, largely resembles the complexity and multi-layered nature of the game Tetris itself. In this country, much like in a multi-story puzzle, beauty and astonishing natural wonders combine, creating a real challenge for anyone who decides to explore it. Russia is such a vast and extraordinary country that, in terms of time zones, it ranks among the top in the world, divided into many regions, each living according to its own time. Imagine, when it is noon in cities like Kaliningrad, it is already deep night in regions located in the Far East, such as Kamchatka, where midnight has already struck. This time difference creates a sense of constant changeability and mystery, making Russia one of the most unusual and complex places to understand on the planet. We hope you found it interesting and engaging to get to know this country, one of the most mysterious, wild, and at the same time beautiful corners of the world. Russia has preserved unique traditions, unparalleled natural attractions, and astonishing stories that can leave even the most seasoned travelers speechless. If you enjoyed learning about Russia and its features, don't forget to leave your comment, sharing what surprised or impressed you the most about this country. It would also be very nice if you liked or rated our content. This is the best way to support us and help us continue creating interesting and informative videos for you. We promise to keep delighting you with new stories revealing secrets, wonders, and fascinating facts about our world. The next video, which will be released after this one, promises to be no less exciting and rich, as it will continue to explore the uniqueness and diversity of our planet Earth. So don't miss it. Click the link and dive into new discoveries. We are sure you will enjoy it, and you will definitely find something new and amazing in it.